Welcome to Soothing Pod's Sleep Stories. I am a reef, and tonight we follow Helios, the Titan god of the sun, across the skies of ancient Greece. From dawn to dusk, we trace his eternal journey, his golden light touching mortals and gods alike. We meet his children and consorts, and through stories of love, loss, and devotion, we sail with him over seas, valleys, and cities, feeling the steady wisdom and quiet power of the sun that never falters. Drift into the timeless myths of Greek mythology and the enduring presence of Helios, the sun god who illuminates both earth and legend. Before we begin our journey tonight, let's take time to relax and let go of the stresses of the day. Here and now, there are no obligations, no to-do lists. By simply lying in bed with your eyes closed, you are already giving your body nourishing rest. Settle into stillness as the body finds its natural place of rest. There is no need to hurry, no need to arrive anywhere else. This moment is enough. Breath moves in softly, like a quiet tide, and flows out just as easily. Nothing is forced, nothing is held. With each slow breath, the weight of the day begins to loosen. Thoughts may drift by, light and distant, like clouds crossing a wide, open sky. They do not need attention. They are free to pass. The body grows heavier yet comfortable, supported by the surface beneath it. Shoulders soften, the jaw relaxes. The space behind the eyes grows calm and spacious. Awareness gently settles into the rhythm of breathing, in and out. Steady, unbroken, peaceful. There is a quiet warmth spreading through the chest, not bright, not intense, just a steady sense of ease. With each breath out, tension dissolves, as though it were never needed in the first place. Time slows here. Nothing asks to be solved or remembered. Only rest remains. Breathing continues on its own, carrying the body toward deeper comfort, toward stillness, toward sleep. And in this calm, everything is exactly as it should be. As the breath settles into quiet rhythm, the first light of an ancient dawn begins to rise, and the story gently unfolds. Before the world remembers its name, there is a pause. The sky rests in deep blue silence, neither night nor morning, holding its breath above the sleeping earth. Mountains stand unmoving, their peaks softened by shadow. Rivers slow their murmuring as though listening. Even the sea lies calmer now, its vast surface dark and smooth, reflecting only the faintest hint of change. This is the hour before light. From the far edge of the world, beyond the known horizon where earth meets the great encircling waters, a quiet warmth begins to stir. It is not yet seen, only felt, an almost imperceptible easing of the darkness. The cold of night loosens its grip, and the air grows gentler, as if touched by an unseen hand. Far beyond mortal lands, Helios awakens, not with sudden movement, not with urgency, but with the steady certainty of something eternal. He has risen this way since the first days of time, and the rhythm of his awakening is woven into the fabric of the world itself. Light gathers around him softly, like a mantle being placed upon his shoulders. Gold does not flash, it glows. Fire does not burn, it breathes. The eastern sky responds first. A thin band of pale silver appears above the sea, widening slowly, patiently. Stars begin to fade, not chased away, but released, slipping quietly into the memory of night. The horizon warms, brushing itself with rose and amber, as though testing the colors of the coming day. Across the land, life stirs without waking. Leaves shift in the slightest breeze. Dew trembles on grass blades. Birds turn in their nests, sensing what approaches. This moment belongs to Helios alone. He does not rush it. Light spreads carefully, inch by inch, honoring the balance between shadow and illumination. Hills emerge from darkness, their shapes rounding into clarity. Valleys fill with soft gold. The sea takes on color again, deep blue edged with molten copper, waves catching light like whispered promises. The world is not startled awake, it is invited. With the rising glow comes warmth, gentle and reassuring. It settles over fields and forests alike, touching bark and soil, water and wing. The night retreats slowly, leaving no fear behind it, only rest fulfilled. Darkness has done its work. Now it yields. Above it all, the sky opens wider, brightening into a vast, welcoming blue. Clouds drift lazily, painted from beneath with pale fire. The air feels lighter now, easier to breathe, as though the world itself has exhaled. This is the gift of morning, not brilliance, not heat, but renewal. As the sun clears the edge of the world, the day is born fully at last. And though mortals may greet it without knowing its ancient source, the light carries with it the presence of Helios, constant, watchful, and serene, beginning once more his timeless journey across the heavens. Helios is no ordinary god of light and sun. He is a Titan, born of Hyperion, the ever-watchful father of heavenly bodies, and Thea, whose own brilliance granted him sight and clarity. Alongside his sisters, Eos, the gentle dawn, and Selene, the serene moon, he governs the cycle of day and night, moving across the sky in a rhythm as old as time itself. His domain is not limited to the sky above. He sees all that unfolds on earth, a silent witness to the deeds of gods and mortals alike. He is known to mortals and immortals alike for his constancy. Where other forces might falter or fade, Helios endures, steady and radiant, a guide and guardian whose light brings clarity, warmth, and life to every corner of the world. His presence touches all things gently yet surely, revealing what is hidden, illuminating the paths of gods and mortals alike, and sustaining the world in its endless rhythm. Helios is not born of sudden flame or fleeting brilliance. He is older than memory, older than the stories mortals tell to explain the sky. His light does not rush into being. It endures, steady as a heartbeat, constant as the turning of the world. Where others might falter, Helios simply moves, carrying the day with quiet certainty. Even a titan as eternal as Helios carries connections that bind him to the world in ways both tender and profound. Beyond the brilliance of his daily journey, he is a father, a husband, and a figure whose family reflects the very light he brings to the world. Helios was wedded to Perse, an Oceanid, and from their union came children of great significance. Aeetes, their son, would become the king of Colchis, keeper of the magical golden fleece, and a figure entwined with the tale of Jason and the Argonauts. Perseus, another son, remained a steady presence like his father, embodying quiet authority within their Titan lineage. Pasiphae, their daughter, would be remembered for her marriage to King Minos of Crete and the extraordinary events surrounding the birth of the Minotaur. Through these children, Helios's light extends into both the mortal and divine realms, touching kingdoms and shaping the fates of those who dwell within them. Yet Perse was not Helios's only consort. Clymene, a mortal nymph of remarkable beauty, had long shared the warmth of Helios's attention. From their union came the Heliades, daughters whose lives were intertwined with the rhythm of the sun itself, and a son by the name of Phaethon. Heliades were delicate and radiant, their hair the threads of gold that caught the first light of dawn and the soft glow of dusk. Each day, as Helios journeyed across the sky, their presence seemed to mirror his own motion, a gentle reflection of brilliance, devotion, and the passage of time. Among Clymene's children was Phaethon, a boy whose curiosity and longing burned as brightly as the chariot he would one day command. From his earliest days, he carried in his heart the awareness of his extraordinary lineage, sensing the light that flowered through him, guiding his thoughts, his desires, and the dreams that stirred in the quiet hours of night. The Heliades watched him closely, their love and care, a steady current that nourished him even as the sun above dictated the rhythm of life below. The daughters of Clymene moved with a grace that seemed to echo the arcs of Helios's chariot. They tended sacred spaces and groves, their tasks both practical and symbolic, collecting the golden resin from trees kissed by the sun, weaving the subtle patterns of light and shadow into offerings, and singing songs that honored the steady glow of their father's chariot. Through these acts, they carried forward the influence of Helios, shaping the world with a touch both delicate and enduring, a reflection of the light that guided them. Even as Phaethon grew, his sisters remained attentive. They shared their knowledge of the heavens, the subtle signs in clouds and color, the ways the sun's warmth touched the earth differently with each season. Helios's daughters were more than observers. They were students of the sun, learning to read the world through its golden rays, their hearts aligned with the pulse of his daily journey. But the boy's yearning to prove himself brought both hope and peril. He begged to drive the sun chariot across the sky. Helios felt the trembling hope in his son's chest, and though he gently warned him of the dangers, the roaring fury of the steeds, the whipping winds, the heat that could warp earth itself, Phaethon's desire would not be quelled. Helios granted him permission, cautioning him of the immense power he would face. The pattern of the heavens is a delicate arc, and the horses require hands both steady and experienced. But Phaethon could not command the horses with sufficient strength. The chariot veered too close to the earth, scorching rivers and lands, then soared too high, freezing mountains in its path. In that fragile stretch between control and chaos, to prevent further destruction, Zeus struck the boy with a thunderbolt, and the chariot pitched, sending Phaethon tumbling toward the earth's winding rivers. Helios cried out, warmth and sorrow entwining in the sun's glow. The grief of his sisters was so profound that they were transformed into poplar trees, their tears solidifying into amber, a quiet memorial to their loss. Helios's presence, even in sorrow, remained constant, his light bearing witness to the delicate balance between desire, responsibility, and consequence. As Helios journeys across the sky, his golden chariot carving arcs of light through the heavens, there is a particular stretch of earth that he regards with a tender, unwavering gaze. It is an island born of sea and stone, emerging from the deep as if drawn upward by the very warmth of his light. This island is Rhodes, and here Helios's presence is not merely observed, it is revered, cradled in every wave, every breeze, every sunrise. The nymph Rhode had arisen with the island itself, her form entwined with its contours, her essence carrying the salt of the sea and the brilliance of dawn. When Helios saw her, he recognized a companion who reflected both the calm and the vitality of his own light. She did not seek to command him, nor to contain the sun's movement. She simply existed in harmony with the world he illuminated. In time, their union was sealed, a meeting of fire and water, light and land. From this union came the Heliadae, 7 sons of wisdom and strength, and a daughter, Electrione, whose presence mirrored the steady pulse of the sun itself. Each child bore a portion of their father's brilliance and their mother's grace, and each would grow to guide the island with insight and courage. The sons, skilled in navigation and craftsmanship, traced the skies and seas with minds sharpened by the light that had nurtured them since birth. Electrione, gentle yet resolute, carried the warmth of her parents' devotion, a living reflection of the sun's journey across the horizon. Helios watched his children closely as he rode above the clouds. They learned, each in their own way, to balance the demands of the earth beneath with the promise of the sky above. His light fell upon them, not merely as warmth, but as guidance, a lesson in constancy and care. Through them, the sun's influence touched every aspect of roads, the fields where grain swayed under steady rays, the harbors where ships traced glimmers across the waters, the cliffs where birds nested, tracing patterns that echoed the arcs of his chariot. Yet Rhodes' role was not only as mother to these remarkable children, she was the living emblem of balance between mortal and divine, earth and sky. Her devotion to Helios reflected a harmony that many gods seldom understood, the quiet joy of being witness to brilliance without overshadowing it, of holding life gently yet firmly in one's care. Together, Helios and Rhode became both patrons and protectors, their combined essence infusing the island with prosperity, guidance, and subtle, enduring light. Even as he attended to the Heliade and Electrione, Helios's mind remained ever alert to the wider world, the ocean currents, the distant cities, the forests brushing the horizon. They were all under his gaze. His love for Rhode and his children was not possessive. It was an extension of the very principles he carried in the sky. Each day, as he lifted the sun, he carried the knowledge that life, like light, requires attention, warmth, and patience to flourish. The rhythms of their lives mirrored the passage of the sun, steady, deliberate, unyielding. The Heliade ventured into the waters to map their coasts, while Electrione tended to sacred groves, listening to the murmur of the sea and the whispers of the wind. Helios observed their triumphs and missteps alike, allowing lessons to imprint themselves naturally, like shadows moving across the land as the day progresses. In this, he taught by example, a quiet reminder that the world thrives best when guided by consistency and care rather than force or command. At sunrise, Helios would pause just long enough to let the first rays spill across the island, illuminating the temples, the harbors, and the fields alike. By midday, his chariot blazed with the fullness of life, highlighting the interactions of his children as they labored and learned. And when the sun neared the horizon, Rhode would stand on a cliff or the sands below, gazing upward as the light softened, her form glowing with the reflection of the sun's descent. In that hour, Helios's warmth mingled with her presence, a testament to partnership, love, and the quiet power of devotion. It is said that every island has its guardian, And Rhodes in this time had too, Rhode herself, carrying the heart of the land, and Helios above, casting light and warmth across its entirety. Together, their vigilance ensured that the island remained a place of balance and growth, a sanctuary where life could thrive under the guidance of both earth and sky. Even in moments of calm, when the sea shimmered the molten gold and the wind whispered through olive groves, Helios's attention remained. He knew that the light of his chariot touched more than just Rhodes' shores. It reached every heart attuned to the world's rhythm, every being whose life depended on the careful dance of the day and night. And in this knowledge, Rhode and their children flourished, safe in the tender embrace of a sun that never wavered, a Titan whose light carried the promise of stability, love, and life itself. As evening approached and the horizon softened from amber to deep rose, Helios began the descent of his chariot. The Heliadae paused in their labors to watch the glow fade into twilight. Electrione lingered on a hilltop, feeling the gentle warmth of the last sunbeams brushing her face, a reminder that each day's end is merely the precursor to another beginning. Helios's light, constant and patient, carried with it the echoes of lessons learned, of love shared, of life nurtured. And Rhodes, bathed in the enduring radiance, slept beneath the promise of another dawn, guided always by the Titan's unwavering presence. Journeying through the sky from sunrise to sunset on a daily basis, Helios could see and hear almost everything that happened beneath his golden gaze. The world, bathed in his light, offered no secrets that could escape him. Rivers whispered their courses, forests swayed with stories of hidden lives, and the faintest stirrings in city streets and palace halls carried their meanings upward. Sometimes this meant he saw things that others would have preferred remain concealed, events that unfolded in shadow or in hearts that believed themselves alone. It was during such a day that Helios glimpsed what none had dared to reveal, the secret affair of Aphrodite and Ares. Hidden behind the pillars of a temple, the goddess and her lover moved with care, yet his unblinking eyes saw all. Helios knew immediately, and his silent observation set in motion a chain of consequences that would ripple across Olympus. When word reached the other gods, both Aphrodite and Ares were humiliated, their trust betrayed by the ever-watchful Titan who carried the sun across the sky. Aphrodite's pride was wounded, and she sought revenge. At the time, Helios was consorting with Clytie, the devoted nymph who adored him from sunrise to sunset. Yet Aphrodite's cunning turned his heart elsewhere. She made him fall in love with Leucotho, the daughter of the Persian king Orchamus and Eurynome. Enraptured by her beauty, Helios approached her carefully, disguising himself as her mother to gain entrance to her private chambers. Once inside, he revealed his true form, the brilliant god of the sun, and Leucotho, awestruck and overwhelmed, could not resist the stirrings of love he inspired. Clytie, consumed by jealousy, sought to reclaim his affection. Unable to bear the pain of his new love, she spread stories of some hidden defilement surrounding Leucotho, which eventually reached the ears of Orcamus. The king acted swiftly and without mercy, burying his daughter alive in the earth. Helios arrived too late, warmth and light radiating from his being, but it was insufficient to save her from death. In anguish and fury, he declared, "Nothing should stop you from reaching the skies," and transformed Leucotho into the tree which gives frankincense, a living monument to her beauty and his grief. Clytie's efforts to regain Helios's love were met with the opposite result. The Titan's gaze abandoned her entirely, and her devotion became sorrow incarnate. She spent her days fixed in his direction, waiting for a glance that would never come, wasting away in solitude from her sister nymphs and the world she once moved through freely. In time, her body was transformed into the heliotrope, a flower that follows the sun from dawn to dusk, forever bound to him she had lost, a quiet symbol of unrequited love and enduring devotion. Even as these intimate dramas unfolded, Helios's attention stretched to events far beyond. On the sea, Odysseus and his surviving crew returned from the devastation of the Trojan War, landing upon Thrinacia, an island sacred to the sun god. The men, desperate and starving, ignored warnings and took what was not theirs, slaughtering some of Helios's revered cattle. His fury rose like a storm in the sky, and he complained to Zeus, threatening to withdraw the sun entirely, leaving the world in shadow or casting it into the underworld, should the sacrilege go unpunished. Zeus acted swiftly, sending a violent tempest to punish the transgressors. The ship of Odysseus was destroyed, drowning all but Odysseus himself, whose hands had remained innocent of the crime. Even from the sky, Helios witnessed the weight of justice and the enduring power of divine law, the consequences of mortal folly laid bare under his unblinking light. Through all of this, Helios moved steadily along his path, his 4 immortal horses drawing the golden chariot across the sky, sparks scattering from their hooves like fire on the horizon. Every glance, every secret revealed, every act of devotion or defiance unfolded beneath him. He did not rush to intervene unnecessarily. He carried the weight of awareness, letting the world reveal itself fully in his light. His gaze nurtured and revealed, honoring both love and consequence, holding life's intricate tapestry in constant motion. By the time the sun began its slow descent toward the western horizon, Helios had seen sorrow and joy, devotion and betrayal, folly and courage. He carried them all as he descended, allowing warmth to linger on seas, fields, and cities, a reminder of the continuity of day and night, of cause and effect. Even as evening approached, his presence remained steadfast, reflecting the infinite connections he witnessed, binding mortal and immortal worlds in quiet harmony. On another day, yet one that seems forever present in the sunlight, Helios stood at the edge of the harvest plains when Demeter, her face etched with sorrow, found her way to him. Her daughter, Persephone, had vanished into the depths of the earth, taken by Hades in a chariot of shadow. Demeter's grief was an ache that spread like winter frost across the living world. Helios, whose gaze spans all beneath him from dawn to dusk, told her what he had seen: the wind-blown cry of her daughter, the descent into the underworld, and the reluctant hand of Zeus given in that dark exchange. Though his words offered no comfort, they carried truth, and from truth grew understanding in the slow, healing cycles of earth and season. And yet another life he witnessed rise from despair into clarity. Orion the giant, once blinded for an offense against a king, wandered toward the light with his guide Cetalon upon his shoulders. Helios felt the man's longing for sight, to know the world, to feel the breath of light upon his skin once more, and he restored what had been lost. With a gentle gathering of rays upon Orion's eyes, the morning sun gave him vision again, and the world blossomed before him in brilliant, breathing color. Time flows, even as fate weaves its patterns quietly beneath the sun. There was, too, the day when his granddaughter, Medea's heart broke and hardened, when grief drove her to unspeakable acts against her own children. Helios, steady and compassionate within the glow he carried, did not turn from her in her darkest hour, for she was of his blood, and from the fire of his essence came both her gifts and her wounds. When she fled Corinth, her carriage drawn by silent serpents of shadow and flame, it was Helios who lent her the golden chariot, the very vessel of his light, so that she might escape the world she could no longer bear. In giving her wings, he honored both mercy and the boundless complexity of the heart. And yet, life's journeys are not only sorrow and escape, but arduous quests of courage and strength. When Heracles stood on the vast shores of Libya to retrieve the cattle of Geryon, blistered by sun and thirst, he lifted his arrow toward the sky in frustration and ire. Helios watched, and rather than turn away, he recognized something of raw, unguarded human spirit in the hero. With his consent, he offered the golden bowl, the vessel in which he himself journeyed through the night, so that Heracles might cross the river Oceanus and reach the distant isle where the red-herded cattle grazed. In that act, the gift of navigation and survival became as sacred as the sunlit path above. But not all encounters were kindly in their outcome. On the sacred isle where Helios's own cattle grazed, Odysseus's crew, famished and fraught with impatience, defied the unspoken ordinance of respect. They slaughtered the cattle, inviting the wrath of the very light that had guided them. Helios, burning with righteous indignation, appealed to Zeus himself, either atone or face darkness in the underworld where only shadows might dwell. Zeus, thunder in hand, struck their ship, sending all but Odysseus into the silent deep. Once again, the sun god's ever-watchful presence bore witness not only to deeds of passion and power, but to consequence and balance. Through all these lives touched by his gaze, joyous, tragic, desperate, hopeful, Helios stood steadfast. The chariot's wheels continued their tireless arc, turning eastward toward dawn, even as the world below learned the lessons of his sunlit path. By sunset, the day's stories were woven into the rhythm of the earth. Grief had its place, courage its reward, and every heart beneath the sky knew, whether in sorrow or triumph, that the sun's gaze was always upon them, steady, patient, and infinitely aware. Even as Helios rides his chariot across the sky, deeds and moments unfold known only to the light itself. Beneath his gaze, justice takes shape. He observes those who stray from oaths or dishonor kin or kingdom. Though he rarely intervenes directly, the warmth of his rays can scorch the careless or unjust, leaving lessons not in punishment alone, but in the illumination of truth. His eyes, ever vigilant, hold quiet authority, marking boundaries between right and wrong as naturally as he carries the sun. Time softens memory's edges, yet Helios endures. Across ages, mortals call him Apollo, god of light and prophecy, or Sol, the ever-seeing sun. Names may change, cultures rise and fall, but Helios remains, constant, patient, radiant. He first touched the eastern horizon with gentle fire and continues tracing dawn and dusk with unwavering certainty. He is more than a god of sun and light. He symbolizes continuity. His glow witnesses generations turning, forests growing, mountains rising and falling, oceans ebbing. Civilizations pass, yet Helios's light endures, steady and impartial. In every sunlit ripple or blade of grass, the memory of his gaze is soft, reassuring, and patient. Even when night cloaks the world, he does not vanish. His light lingers in memory, dreams, and myth. Stars appear, but merely echo his rays. Each dawn, the golden chariot rises again, carrying day across the heavens as it has since the beginning. Helios nurtures life, guides travelers, enforces balance, and witnesses courage, folly, and devotion. His wisdom is quiet but undeniable. Sunrise and sunset, the illumination of fields and seas, and the heartbeat of life all bear his imprint. As the horizon brightens, the first rays stretch across the world. Helios is there, unchanging, eternal, a guardian of light and memory. Each dawn reminds the world that life persists, nurtured by the sun's quiet watchfulness, a balm, guide, and constant companion. With this, he carries the promise of tomorrow, ensuring light, warmth, truth, and patience endure. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story, and that it has brought you a night of peaceful, restful sleep. Please join me again tomorrow night for another sleep story. Until then, sweet dreams.